Donald Trump begins to expand his national lead of over 4 percentage points. Meanwhile, President Biden is reaching historically low approval ratings, similar to his approval ratings in 2022. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video with On Point Politics, and today we're going to be looking at the very obvious fact that Donald Trump is surging in the national aggregate. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, we have previously had Donald Trump already winning the Electoral College in an Electoral College landslide by a pretty decent amount, 347 Electoral College votes. That's unlike what most Fed forecasters had before the presidential debate. Now people have started kind of catching on. We've been able to notice this because of, historical polling errors, the difference in approval ratings, third-party candidates, and much more. But what's funny now is, oh my God, Donald Trump's gained so much, since the debate. He has gained, but not really as much as people are thinking. That's just based off of my own aggregates. We've had Donald Trump already gaining, and what's quite interesting is that our aggregate has only shown Donald Trump gaining like 0.8% since the debate so far. And if we look at this is something really interesting that I did here. Basically, as you guys have seen, for those of you who subscribed, you've seen that I've basically modeled out the latest polling based on their demographic margins. So we looked at the Daily Mail, New York Times, CNN, my own poll with SoCal Research, Alice Intel, who was a very accurate pollster, and Harvard Harris. When you look at all these polls, they have 2020 samples you can go back to, and you can model out their demographics using the 538 map. And essentially, we have all the margins right here, and I've averaged them out, and we're going to be filling in the Electoral College map based on these results. All these polls have essentially been conducted within the last week. And so now, when we go back to the Electoral College margins here, we're going to be filling this out, and you're going to see a very lopsided victory for Trump. I mean, here on my website, we basically break down why Donald Trump is winning by such a big amount. We go over the RCP aggregate and how we have our own adjusted aggregate. We look at the approval ratings and how that's correlated to the national popular vote share for all candidates. Usually incumbent presidents outperform their approval rating by a percentage point. Clinton, with a lot of third-party candidate support, actually saw an underperformance, which is not a good sign for Biden either. We also see we can cross-examine New York Times polling data, which basically shows an 11.3 percentage point shift to the right from the previous cycle RFK, as well as the primary turnout from both elections. And so now looking at this, we can see Donald Trump has safe Republican states in Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, all of Nebraska except the 2nd Congressional District, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, as well as South Carolina and Maine's 2nd Congressional District with the state of Alaska. We can also see in the state of Iowa, Donald Trump leads by 18.3 percentage points, which is very similar to a very accurate pollster in the state that recently dropped a poll from there that actually has Donald Trump up by 18 points. They got it right in 2020, got it right in 2022, and got the primaries right for 2024. So this is all but good news for the former president. And the fact that the demographic margins basically average out to this result is very interesting. So that's going to go in the safe Republican column. Ohio also goes in a plus 19 category for Donald Trump, showing there's a large shift with Midwestern voters this cycle. We also see the state of Texas be 18.6 percentage points for Donald Trump, presumably the southern border crisis and Hispanic voter shifts with Donald Trump would cause the state to go in the safe Republican column. And the state of Florida votes for Donald Trump by 15.3 percentage points in this forecast. Before we continue the video, only 13% of you guys are subscribed to the channel. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to go ahead and hit the like button if you are enjoying this video thus far. Now, for the safe Democrat states, we have the state of California at 16 points for Biden, which is way closer than the 2020 counterpart, where Biden actually won the state by 29 percentage points in the previous election. It's been trending to the left ever since the early 2000s and the 1990s, and so that clearly shows a large shift towards Donald Trump in the state of California as of right now. In the state of Hawaii, Biden's projected to win that state by 16.3 percentage points, albeit I believe the state's going to be much closer than 16 points. This is what all the demographic modeling shows as of right now in the state of Hawaii, putting it in the safe Democrat column. We also have the state of Vermont at 25 points for President Biden, rounds out at 26 points. State of Massachusetts at 22.3 percentage points for Joe Biden. We see the state of Maryland at just 20 percentage points for Biden, still in the safe column, but way closer than last cycle. We actually see here that the state of Maryland actually voted for Biden by 33 points. That's a 13-point shift nationwide. That is a huge shift for the former president in the state of Maryland. And we see here the District of Columbia rounds out to a 71-point victory for Joe Biden, which is a 15-point shift in favor of Donald Trump as of right now, giving Biden just 85 safe electoral college votes. Now, for the likely Republican states, we have the traditional swing states that used to be competitive earlier in the cycle, but have thus become not really as competitive as Donald Trump has been making huge gains in all of the states. We see in Nebraska second, that is a likely margin of victory, 7.8 percentage points for Donald Trump. We see in the state of Wisconsin a 9.9 percentage point victory when you estimate and round out all of the averages for the demographics between all of the latest polling. We see that end up being a 9.9 percentage point victory for Donald Trump. We look in the state of Michigan, plus 8.2% for Donald Trump. That is a large victory in the state of Michigan. Again, this state voted for Biden by 3. That would be an 11-point shift to the right of the nation. So that is also very interesting to look at there. The state of Pennsylvania is plus 10 for Donald Trump. That'd be an 11.2 percentage point shift. If you notice, a lot of the states actually shift by anywhere to 10 to 13 points depending on how much they trend. Wisconsin only really shifts about 10 points to the right, which if you think about it would make sense because there is a way less African American dense base population in the state of Wisconsin than compared to Pennsylvania, and it would make sense for the state of Pennsylvania to be the most Republican here because there is a large African American population in Philadelphia, and we've seen that demographic shift to former President Trump in the past year or so. In the state of North Carolina, we see Donald Trump is winning that state by 13.4 percentage points. That is around a 12.1 percentage point shift for the former president in the state of North Carolina, signaling that the state is going to trend to the right by about a point or so in 2024. We see in the state of Georgia that Donald Trump is leading by 12.9 percentage points. Biden actually won this state in the last cycle by only 0.24 percentage points. So this would be a massive victory for Donald Trump in a state that's been trending to the right, or to the left, for quite some time. And if the national environment is like R plus 7 and he wins it by about 12, that means the state would have trended back towards Republicans for at least a little bit. So that would be some really good news for Donald Trump in the state of Georgia and Republicans as a whole. We see in the state of Arizona, Trump is up by 10.9 percentage points as well. That would mean the state would basically stagnate in trending from the previous cycle. We see that in the state, in 2020, that Biden actually won it by 0.3 percentage points because of large suburban shifts in a place like Maricopa County that voted for Biden by upwards of 2 points. But now polling shows that Donald Trump, according to SoCal Research, who did it with Ready Go Politics, actually has Donald Trump winning the county by about 5 points or so. And so that's going to be really interesting to see if that margin actually holds up in the state of Arizona. We see in the state of Nevada, Donald Trump is up there by 9.5 percentage points. I actually expect the margin to be greater in the state of Nevada, especially since there are large Hispanic shifts there. However, it does show the state being one of the closer victories in all of the swing states as of right now. For the likely Democrat states, we have the state of Washington at 7.7 percentage points for Joe Biden. This is a state that voted for Joe Biden in the previous cycle by literally 19 percentage points. So this would be a very big shift, about a 12-point shift away from Joe Biden from the last presidential cycle. We see the state of Oregon at 5.7 percentage points. This would be an 11-point shift away from the incumbent president since the 2020 election. We also see in a state like Connecticut, as of right now, Joe Biden leads there by 8.7 percentage points. In the state of Rhode Island, Joe Biden leads by 9.7 percentage points. We see in a state like Delaware, Joe Biden leads there by just 6.9. That is way closer than the 19-point victory that was posted by Joe Biden in 2020. And so now we're going to the state of New York, where we see Biden's ahead by 11. I actually expect the state to be closer than this, but this is what the average demographic modeling shows in the state as of right now. We can also go to Maine's 1st congressional district and see a margin of plus 5.5 for the incumbent president in this district as of right now, only giving Joe Biden 148 likely and safe electoral college votes. For the lean states for Donald Trump, we are going to start out with the state of New Mexico, which comes in at 1.6 percentage points for Donald Trump. We see that there are a lot of white liberals in the city of Albuquerque here. However, this state has the highest Hispanic population in the entire nation, and if Donald Trump is essentially coming within 5 points of the Hispanic vote here, we are going to see major shifts in the electorate as of right now. We also see in the state of Virginia that Donald Trump is ahead by 2.5 percentage points. That would be a huge shift from the previous cycle, a 12-point shift away from the incumbent president in the state of Virginia, indicating that it does trend back to Republicans by about a point or two. We see in the state of Minnesota, Donald Trump is ahead by 3.6 percentage points. This would be a massive victory for Donald Trump in the state of Minnesota. The state has actually not voted for the Republican candidate since 1972 when Nixon won the popular vote by about 22 percentage points. And so that clearly is a large shift away from Joe Biden if this result actually holds up. We see in the state of New Hampshire that Donald Trump is ahead by 2.8 percentage points. And I'd also like to point out that in the state of New Hampshire, a very accurate pollster from the state actually has Donald Trump up by 2. So this margin isn't that unrealistic based off of that fact alone. We're going to be putting that in the lean Republican column. Now for the lean Democrat states, we have Biden at just 1.8%. Plus 1.8% for Joe Biden in the state of Colorado. That is a very low margin. Joe Biden actually won this state by 13.5 percentage points. And this is a state that's been moving to the left ever since the early 2000s. So the fact that Biden would only be winning it by about 1.5 points is a very, very bad sign for him. That would indicate the state would actually trend a little bit back towards Republicans. We also see in the state of Illinois, Biden's only ahead by 4.8% in the state of Illinois. I want to see more polling data out of here because we haven't really gotten any new polling data out of the state as of right now. But because African American support has been moving to Trump and Chicago is a pretty big city, I would be interested in seeing polling data from the state of Illinois. And for the last lean Democrat state, we have the state of New Jersey that comes in at just 3.5 points for Biden. And again, this is not a crazy margin, guys. This may actually be overestimating Biden very, very slightly, because if we look here, the latest Republican internal poll from New Jersey actually has Donald Trump ahead by 2 percentage points as of right now. The state is tied when you include third-party candidates, and the Senate candidate, Kim, is only ahead by 2 when you include Menendez. So that is very interesting. So this may actually spell really bad signs for both Democrat campaigns in the state of New Jersey. So something is definitely going on in that state as of right now. And the final tilt state on the map, which goes to Donald Trump, he's winning the state of Maine at large by just a tiny bit. He's only winning the state, if we actually look at the margin here, by only 0.4 percentage points. Now, Donald Trump got close in the state, within 3 in 2016, but the state has been moving to the left ever since that cycle. And so that is why you see Donald Trump barely winning the state of Maine at large, while Donald Trump is posting pretty big victories in a bunch of swing states and even in deep blue states as of right now. And so that is it for this video. Donald Trump once again with the 347 electoral college vote victory to Biden's 191. And again, guys, this is something that I've been saying for a very long time. This has been my prediction in the electoral college for a while. This is not my official prediction, but is merely what the demographic margins are showing. But all the margins are essentially pretty close. This is basically my map. This is pretty much all the margins that I have as of right now. I currently have Donald Trump winning the popular vote with Gold Crown Politics' adjusted average by plus 7.4 percentage points in the popular vote. So yes, he has gained from the debate by almost a point or so in our adjusted average, but has not necessarily casted any state flips as of right now. And putting all the demographic models from all of the polling definitely demonstrates that as of right now. So if you guys did enjoy this analysis, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want more content just like this. Make sure to go ahead and donate to $OnPointPolitics. We do conduct state polls and national polls, so it would be very useful if you guys could donate. These are not free polls. It's about 95 cents per respondent. So if you guys could even just donate $1, if 500 of you guys donated $1, we'd be able to have a 500 voter sample for a national or state poll. That is it for this video, guys. I hope to see you guys in the next one.